Okay, so this is quite a loaded question. And before I begin, I think it's really important to understand that we have to have a level of emotional maturity when we're approaching any kind of relationship. So, what does that mean? That means that we have to have an ability to process emotions, and we have to have an awareness of other people's emotions and their perceptions of that. So, when we talk about somebody triggering us, and it being a source of growth, that's actually a really positive thing. So when you first started your question by saying how to be able to grow more, to be able to progress in a relationship, if it's triggering, actually for you to recognize that you're being triggered, this is an unhealed wound. And so for that to happen and for you to get curious about what is it that I need to do in order to get past this, when you have the support of your spouse, you can actually work through that. However, it's very clear from the second part of your question that you definitely need better communication in your relationship. I don't have enough information in terms of the number of years that you've been married, whether this has been going on for a really long time, so therefore there's already an established pattern of communication, or whether you've just been married for a very short period, so perhaps not set in your ways in the way that I'm perceiving this question to be. So I'm just keeping that one open. When we have a better understanding of what an emotion means to us, it's easier for us to communicate it to our partner and for them to be able to then judge what it is that they need to do for themselves. So here I would ask, what is disrespect to you? If all, and I would say always, I'd always question the absolutes. You're saying you're always disrespected unless it's for the purpose of sex. I would say, what is disrespect? And does your spouse also agree that this is disrespect? Because he may have a very different understanding. He may be talking to you, say, in a very dismissive tone because that's what he's always done, or that's how he talks to others, or that's what he's accustomed to doing now as a result of other things. And it's just become a way of communicating. And he may not even be aware that his tone and his communication is very dismissive and very disrespectful. Now, the fact that, you're feeling you only feel respected when it's sex is really telling me that this relationship has a big imbalance, because it's about the fact that he's requiring something, and the only way he thinks he can do that is by respecting you, which kind of shows that he has the capacity to be able to respect. So it's in the domain of what other areas can he also be respectful, and you can also allow him to understand that this is not an acceptable standard for you, that your standard for yourself and your relationship is a lot higher, that you want to be respected in the same vein in all areas, so that you are feeling valued and secure, which ultimately would lead you to be able to be comfortable with getting intimate or getting personal with your spouse. And so I think this is where there needs to be far better understanding of each other's needs. I'm not letting him off the hook in terms of, he needs to be able to watch his behavior, but the behavior is a result of what he is holding in his mind to be true for him. And if there has been some kind of breakdown in communication and thus the relationship, then he is doing what he needs to survive. You still being in this relationship is communicating that you still feel there's a way for you to be able to get past that. So I would absolutely encourage you to be able to think, first of all, what does respect mean for you? What are the fights about? If you're saying you're always fighting, it's really helpful to know exactly the areas which are being triggered, and then to be able to dive deeper inside of that. And to realize that what has happened up until now is not necessarily your fault, but it is 100% your responsibility. Same goes for him. If he is feeling a certain way, it may not be his fault entirely, but it is 100% his responsibility. And so I would just end this off by saying that we are told in the Quran that, our wealth, our children, and our spouses are going to be our biggest tests. So we have to take this on as a test and think, how can we both get past this point in a way that's going to allow us to pass this test? And, first of all, start with just communicating more efficiently, more effectively, so that you can actually understand the value of love and respect in a relationship, and you have the same definitions for what that means.